We are in this together.
You have gifts that I don't have, and I have gifts that you don't have.
That we must see. Now is the time, because it's when we all get together that we will make the changes that we must make. We are the world.
Welcome to Malcolm and We, which is a streaming network. And Malcolm and We is an affiliation with We the World, not We the People. I know it. We the World, which is an organization that helps and benefits international organizations that are trying to save our planet. And today we have the pleasure of meeting Jack Strasburg, right? And Yana, take it away, because she knows all your background to fill you in.
Well, I know some of it. So here we go. Jack Strasburg describes himself as a peace, justice, and environmental activist. He has been playing around in a somewhat serious fashion with the notion of constructing a new world paradigm since 1974. He is a volunteer in the economic justice campaign of We the World, and he's a member of the Conscious Business Synergies Circle. As a certified permaculture designer, he has taught certified permaculture courses and assembled the first Indigenous-run certified permaculture teaching team in the Western Hemisphere, where he was the only white boy. He is a founding member of the Green Party USA, having served on the National Board of Directors of the Green Council for 4 years, and also on the board of the Tucson Peace Center from 1983 to 2011. He was very active in the Navajos' DNA resistance to their relocation struggle against the U.S. government and the Peabody Coal Company in the 80s and 90s as part of the Big Mountain Legal Defense Offense Committee. He organized and raised funds for several DNA and Hopi Elder joint contingents to the UN Human Rights Commission in Geneva as part of the effort to halt relocation. So welcome, Jack. And now what do you do in your spare time?
Yeah, well, thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity to get some of the ideas out that I've been working with. I've been trying to sway the movement for a world that works for all, be a little more left, a little more radical, and get away more from the mainstream. We'll see how that works.
Yeah, you've been working at that for a long time. When I was doing some research myself, thank you for sending this information. And I was sending information to Malcolm's background on our speakers that are coming up. I found a YouTube video of you back in when you were running for the Green Council back, what was it, 1972 or something? You were pretty hot looking.
Oh, you had a video. Do you still have that? I'd like to see it, but
yeah, Malcolm has it, but yeah, you were hot.
Back in the day, yeah, I gotta warm up again now.
When Yana gave me your background, would you consider yourself a rebel with a cause?
Yeah, well, kinda. I'm just turning up my volume there. Rebel with a cause. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, although I hung out with a rather cool bunch of people, so I don't think they would all consider themselves rebels.
Well, nowadays everybody has to have an identity, even though you're probably faceted and different things. You speak differently.
Every time I try to shock him with something that I've done or been to or know of, he always outdoes me. So yeah, he's wild and crazy. Back in the day.
Now, is that an actual background you have there, or a virtual?
It's a tapestry.
It's a tapestry?
Yeah.
And where's it taking place? I know the Middle East, but which country?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
This was given to me, and I just thought it was just really cool to look at.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you could give other people a chance to look at it too.
So anyway, what is your primary objective nowadays? You know, I'm sure things have changed over the years, but what are you involved with that you like to tell the people about?
Okay, well, in a sense, they changed over the years, and of course, like Janet mentioned, I've been at this similar stuff since 1974, trying to create the new paradigm. But I work with We the World, like Janet does, and their mission statement is basically working on creating a world that works for all till it gets done. And I got a degree in economics, and I kind of align a lot more that way. And my position is that I I can't even imagine putting together a world that works for all unless we have an economy that works for all. And so I think that we have to start working on going that direction. And so I am pretty familiar with a lot of the and I don't know how long I want to ramble on here before I give you a chance, or you can interrupt.
I'll interrupt if I want to.
Sounds good.
You will too.
So basically what I'm doing, I work with the I don't know if you've heard of a group called the Evolutionary Leaders, and it's a group of people who are older people who are evolutionists, I guess. But anyway, they put together a group of people who have been working on creating a better world for a long time, and they created this what they call a synergy circle called the conscious business synergy circle. So it kind of specifically right now, I'm working a lot on that, and I'm trying to make that, well, the way they have, I'm trying to get it to come to the next level and get it a lot more organized. But the way I look at it is that if we really want a world that works for all, we have to really get the movement to make a world that works for all much, much more organized, cooperative, coordinated, and collaborative than it currently is. So that is my I think that's the number one thing. You got to do that, otherwise nothing else is going to happen. And so and the reason I kind of put that in there, I'm going to put something a little political, maybe a little something people might or might not want to know, but it's something I think that anybody trying to put together a better world and work with what's going on should have access to. Have you ever heard of a general named Wesley Clark?
Yeah.
So have you watched his Seven Nation War thing?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of Wesley Clark. He got in some trouble during his with the government or something. I forget what it was, with what administration.
Huh. I wonder if that was after he retired.
I don't know. Well, I'm sure someone in our audience will do. Let's say whatever. Let's say if. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. So what it is that he was the supreme commander of NATO before he retired. So he was way up there. I mean, he had a lot of generals working for him. He wasn't one of these old generals. And he was after he had retired, he was told by one of the generals that worked for him that was in the Pentagon that they had gotten orders to start 7 wars in the Middle East in 5 years. And he put that on YouTube. He had the integrity to do that, even as a general, and maybe that's why he got in trouble. But he went on YouTube, and so all you got to do is go on YouTube, find Wesley Clark, and it's seven wars and something like that, but you'll find it if you know that much about it. And the reason I bring it up is because being a four-star general, supreme commander in NATO, this is somebody you can really trust when he says something about the military that's not complimentary. In other words, to me, this is probably the most credible information you can get of just how ruthless this country can get when trying to push something. So anyway, I'll leave that alone. I just want to make sure that people have access to that because I think it's something we all should have access to. So the other thing that I spend a lot of time with, which is what we call the social solidarity network, which is actually in the U.S. it's called the Solidarity Economic Network, and in the other, the rest of the world calls it PRISIS. But anyway, basically what it is, it's a fairly large network. They have a long way to go before they have a lot of power and impact, but it's been going on for many years now, over a decade, maybe, I don't know, maybe two. Anyway, it's the people who are trying to come together and create, to a large extent, an economy, but the rest of it as well, of how do we build a world and an economy where everybody is treated equally and everybody's working together. And they're really focused a lot on worker-owned cooperatives. And I'm kind of, my thing with the conscious business people, I don't see them mentioning the solidarity economy. And I guess my thought is, can you be a conscious business without being a worker-owned cooperative? But I'll see where you want to go, Tom. I can go on with this stuff forever. I'm really into it.
In my youth, and I went to CCNY in Upper Manhattan, and that was a very liberal school. I was almost like you could call neo-communist, because I believed I believe there should be a sharing of the wealth, and but as I grew older, I realized that different people have different personalities, and there's some people which is called the A type that basically want to lead. It's not necessarily for money. It's they want to lead. They want to be the rulers, and there are other people who just want they want to live comfortably, but they don't want to be the ones in charge. They don't want to be the leaders, but they want to live comfortably. Now we're having a problem.
Is that the masses?
Next to the masses. But as now we have a problem, as let's say I'm from California, where the Screen Actors Guilds are on strike, and the not the directors, the writers are on strike. We have a hotel strike. So
there may be a UPS strike.
A UPS pipe. So everybody's trying to get a piece of the pie. But I think it was, let's say, less than 1% of the entire population of this country, control over 50% of the wealth, or maybe more now. And the question is, how do you create an equal balance? Not a 50-50 balance, that's impossible, but an equal balance.
Well, I hope it's not totally impossible, although at this current time, it's going to be a struggle. And again, that's one of the reasons why I say we gotta get so much better organized and collaborative than we are to even have a chance of turning some of that stuff around. So there's, you may be familiar with Buckminster Fuller.
Yeah.
And his probably most quoted quote was, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, you create a new model that makes the current model obsolete." And that's what I'm suggesting to the people who want to create a world that works for all. And let's not try to fight the other guys. Let's not try to tear it down. Let's not try to deal with them. Let's just take a look at what is the world that we would like to live in, and let's start building it. And it already is started. Like these organizations I'm talking about, the Solidarity Economy Network, the New Economy Coalition, the U.S. Federation of Worker-Owned Cooperatives, and others. They're doing this, but it's a long way to go. And so I have suggested, and haven't got a lot of good response to, although I'm going to keep working on it, because we not so much, but the Unity Earth and the Sign Network and a few of those others that are affiliated with those networks are into the conscious business, conscious business movement, and humanities team with Steve Farrell. And so what I'm suggesting is that what we really need to do is get a better idea of who all is out there, all the conscious businesses that are out there, and get a database started with that. But I'm taking it to another level, because I think, like, so often when we're trying to work on something like a higher business or something that works better for the people, we look at the organizations that are putting it together and doing it. So like we would be looking at the businesses. What I'm saying is that what we really need to do, as well as that, we obviously need to deal with the businesses, is the customers, shoppers. Because we have, if you look at the networks, just involved with the ones that Shannon and I kind of work with, like the ones I just named a little while ago. There are at least hundreds of thousands. I think Rick thinks that there's millions, and I wouldn't doubt it. And Paul Hawkins said that over 2 million organizations working for a better world. What I'm trying to point out here is that there are enough of us, and we have among us enough resources to create something new and very, very meaningful if we can get organized and collaborative and focus on it together. So in more detail, what I am trying to get these groups to do is to put together a database of everybody who is a member of that, or at least whoever is a part of these organizations and networks who's willing to do it, and then ask them, well, number one, you get that database together, and then you would have the database of the conscious businesses together, and you would make sure that they both had access to each other. Because so much of the reason why conscious businesses don't work that well is because the conscious people who would love to patronize a conscious business don't know how to find them, don't know where they are. They're not, and who's who in the zoo is also a big one. So the idea is to get this coming together. Conscious people should not be spending money with Amazon or Walmart or Safeway. And I know in a lot of cases the way it is, we have to. But if we have more information going back and forth that way, they could do a lot less of it. And I guess I would take that a step further, because have you ever heard of what is it? The farmers thing that puts
Farmers Co-op?
CSAs. They're called CSAs, and they're community supported agriculture. In other words, people give the farmer actually money in advance, so he or she has the money to buy seeds and get the equipment fixed and get it ready to go to grow the crops, and then they deliver groceries every week or 2 weeks.
So he has guaranteed sales at a good price. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
but I'm wondering. I like your ideas. I mean, a problem is what I see is are we running out of time? Because what's happening now in the world and it's a worldwide problem. It's not any particular one government. Is we're creating a whole change of the climate by the carbon footprint that we have. And as you can tell in certain areas, like you say, you were from you live in Arizona or Tucson, which is like I think they said in Phoenix it was like 119 the other day. And in certain parts of the country, there are floods. And you go to the Midwest and there are tornadoes where there never were tornadoes. And you go to the East Coast with hurricanes coming up. I have a friend that lives in South Carolina. They never saw the thunder and lightning and the torrential rains. And it's happening all over the world with the forest fires in our country. And California is going to start again because it's a season now. And you had and Canada, where you have the fires out of control that's killing all the air. I have friends living in New York, and they couldn't go out because of the air quality. So the question
Well, it has
is,
happened in Ohio too.
Yeah.
I mean, I go out in the morning and I think, is that humidity that I see there lurking in the trees?
Yeah.
No, it's the smoke, and the sun is this bright orange, red
yeah,
orb.
in order to create the economic change, I don't know if we have time. That's what concerns me. I know I personally
Well,
I
we
don't
have
have
to
the time.
make time, grow local, buy local, all those things that people can do.
And we have, and of course, I want to make it clear that although local is very good, it's not as good as who you buy from. If you buy in local, you can buy from Walmart locally, and you can buy from
That's
a
true.
lot of people who aren't going to spend it. But still, local is good. I mean, wherever you can, get a local
Yeah.
economy together.
The mom and
Yeah,
pops.
and in answer to your question, I mean, it's hard to say because the way people are reacting to the climate change and several of these other things that are going on, you kind of wonder if we are going to do it. That's why I try to stress. I think if we would wake up, like what my thinking is, and it doesn't seem to be the common thinking for sure, is that those of us who want a world that works for all, you look out and see what's going on, and you just gotta say, my God, we have to get ourselves together and really come together and really come a lot tight and organized and coordinated. And whatever it takes, if you have a difference of opinion, that doesn't matter. Number one is we got to get extremely organized and coordinated and collaborative. And whatever that takes, we do it, whether we believe in it in a certain sense or not. And I hope you understand what I'm saying, because that's what has to happen. I don't, unfortunately, see it happen.
It's
Although
a
I do see it
mindset
happen.
that you think that you have to grow up with, pretty much. Like if you grow up thinking that way, you just naturally will be that way. That's how I grew up. Of course, I grew up in Boulder, so
A little more liberal than some places.
a little, yeah. It's like its own planet. I thought the whole world was like that until I traveled, and I didn't travel until I was older because I met somebody from Ohio. Then I saw the way the rest of the world was.
Yeah, thanks to the media, we see
Yeah.
the troubles throughout the whole world, and it's not only the government that we have in the United States. It's what's happening with Russia. It's what's happening in Ukraine. What's happening in Sudan, and
Hippies have to
nobody's
unite.
cooperating.
We have to. The hippies have to get it together and.
Yeah. I've been a hippie for 50 years, or more than that.
At least. I've been a hippie since birth.
There you go. Of course, you're a little younger than I am, but
A little.
I miss.
Yeah, I'm the baby here.
You're the kid.
Yeah, I'm the kid.
All right.
That's why you like our show, Yana.
Yeah.
You feel young.
Right. Well, you got to think young. Yeah, I can't believe I'm this old. How did that happen?
Who was it? I think it was Mickey Mantle that said, "If I knew I was going to grow to be this old, I'd take better care of myself."
Mickey Mantle was my favorite player
Yeah,
back in the
because I
50s.
think Mickey had a congenital heart disease with his family. Everybody died young,
Hmm.
so he thought he would die at a young age.
Yeah, and he died, wasn't that old, but he didn't live, I guess, longer than he thought. But I think about all we can do, Malcolm, is, well, I mean, I guess you got to kind of look at it in terms of, if you think it's going down no matter what you do, then do you go out and just have as good a time as you possibly can, and when it falls apart, it does?
Yeah,
Or do
go
you kind of,
surfing.
yeah, I've done some of that back when I was at UCSB.
I'm sure
But,
you did.
the other thing is you kind of look at it and say, well, I'm going to hang in there till the end and see what happens. Because the one thing I do see, and I've been, like I say, I've been an activist of all the areas for over 40 years. So I've seen a lot of things come and go. And in the last 30 years, I've seen a really big growth in consciousness. And in the last 10, 20 years, I have noticed that the movement for a better world is getting better organized. They are getting more coordinated and collaborative. They're becoming better at that, and they're becoming definitely more conscious. I definitely noticed that. But the problem is that it isn't at this point fast enough, because even though we're getting better at it, I would say in the last 10 years, the guys who run this planet, the like called the bad guys, they actually are gaining ground on us.
Well,
They go ahead.
Jack, at this point in time, what is your main emphasis?
What is my main emphasis?
At this particular point.
I think doing whatever I can to try to get the movement for a world that works for all much better organized. I think that's what we have to do, and I'm working
Join We
on,
the World. Change the
yeah,
world.
and I'm working with a guy named Stan Krokus, and he works with the Humanity Rising in their show. But he has 4,000 some pages of information on his web, and it's well, anyway, I'm going to be working with him on getting that database. He's got a tremendous database out put
Yeah,
together. Huh?
let us know what you're doing. As I say, we talked about earlier, there is also a possibility if you wanted to do, host your own show and, talk about, either I could be a co-host or you could work alone or you can work with Yana. And, every a week or maybe twice a month and come in with what you're doing to inform us and what we could do, more importantly. By the way, how do you finance yourself?
Basically from Social Security, and one of the few things good about being a Vietnam vet, and I guess I was just in the military anyway, but I was a Vietnam. I did spend a year in Vietnam. Is that they have what they call a pension, and I'm not talking about the pension you get after serving 20 years, but if you don't have a certain amount of income, the VA will actually give you a little pension so that you get up to that level. So I get about $300 from them, as well as increase my Social Security, which is very small. So I can live. I can actually all my life, free time has always been more important to me than building up a lot of money or goods or whatever. So I've learned to live
Do you have a
well.
website that?
Huh?
Do you have a website or email that people can get in touch with you?
Well, I guess I'm going to start getting more involved with it. I do have a website. I haven't been doing it much. It's a newparadigm.net. And you're kind of helping steer me in the direction of getting more involved in that. And then I have I could give you my We the World web or what do you call it?
Your email.
Email, yeah. And that is Jack Strasburg at we.net.
Okay, because Jack, believe it or not, we've done the half hour.
Yeah, well, it goes pretty fast. I thought we might even have gone over it already. But
anyway, I thank you very much for joining us, and I look forward to future shows with us.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely be in touch, and I'll definitely have a chat with you and see what we can figure out.
Okay.
I'll bug you, Jack. You know I'm good at that.
Again, thank you, and you've been listening to Malcolm and We the World is an international organization helping out groups that need help to make the world a better place to live. And you're listening to us on malcolmpresents.com,
Me too.
a new streaming network. See you guys. Bye.
The objective of the organization We the World is to facilitate cooperation on a global scale amongst groups and individuals dedicated to implementing solutions to the many challenges we face on the planet at this time.